It feels so good to be out here this morning. I am so glad that I came on this trip. I was really wondering if I should do it. I knew I could, but it's a lot of driving for a little hiking. But oh, this is so worth it. You know, ever since COVID hit, I've been living my life just a little bit differently. Trying to think of each day as a blessing, because nothing is guaranteed. I mean, it's been easy for me to take time for granted because I've always had it. But in reality, you're not guaranteed that next day. So you have to live each one as if it could be your last. And I've kind of been doing that with my life. You know, I heard a quote that goes, "The wealthiest place on earth is the cemetery." It's because there you will find leadership that the world never heard. You will find genius unrealized. You will find talents and skills and gifts that we never saw. Songs left unsung and dreams that never came to be. So rob the cemetery. Rob the cemetery of your gifts. Rob the cemetery of your dreams. Rob the cemetery of the greatness that is within you, because you have the ability to do more than you could ever begin to imagine. And I don't know why people sometimes don't share their gifts with the world. Maybe they think they have more time. Maybe they're afraid. Maybe they're afraid they'll fail. But you know, you can't be afraid to fail. You can't be afraid to go outside your comfort zone. I think a lot of times people are afraid to do things that are unknown. I mean, sometimes we get stuck in a situation that is miserable, but we stay there because we become comfortable there. And it's easier just to stay put. And I once heard a story about a man who was captured behind enemy lines. And he was sentenced to death or something else. And the captain said to him, "You can choose. You can choose to face the firing squad tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. or you can choose this door." And the man said, "Well, what's behind the door?" And the captain said, "I don't know. It's something unknown. All I can tell you is just unknown harms." And the next day came, and the man chose the firing squad. Well, after the shots rang out, the captain's secretary asked the captain, "What was behind the door?" And the captain said, "Freedom. But few will choose it because it is unknown." So, don't be afraid to do things that feel uncomfortable, that are unknown. Don't just stay in something that makes you miserable because it's what you're used to and because it's what's become easy. You know, I also heard the quote, "When you do things that are easy, your life will be hard. And when you do things that are hard, your life will be easy." Now, I'm not saying it won't be hard. I'm not saying you won't have any problems. Life is filled with problems. I mean, they say You're either in a problem, you just left a problem, or you're headed straight towards one. So, there is no such thing as a problem-free life. You can't be afraid to face your fears. You can't be afraid to face the unknown. I mean, one way to get through it is visualize yourself facing your worst fear. And what is the worst that could happen? For me, I think about it and I was like, well, I could be facing my worst fear and I could just drop dead. Well, but what's the likelihood that that's really going to happen? So then I visualize myself facing my fear and thinking about the best thing that could happen. And I start to visualize that. And I start to think about that. Because when your thoughts are on the positive and you are thinking about the best things that can happen, those things start to manifest in your life. You have to believe that no matter what comes your way, that you have the ability to figure it out. You have the ability to handle whatever it is that life throws at you. You just have to believe in yourself and start visualizing what you want in life. You know, talking about belief. Before 1954, the belief of the whole world was that nobody could run the mile in under 4 minutes. Nobody. It hadn't been done. They believed it wasn't possible. And then in April of 1954 came Roger Bannister, and he beat that record. He ran the mile in under 4 minutes. And you know what? Since that time, over 20,000 people have broken that record, even high school kids. So what's changed? What has changed? The belief. The belief that it is possible. Because now when everyone lines up at that starting line getting ready to race, there is a belief that it can be done. If he can do it, I can do it. So just believing that something is possible and you can achieve more than you would ever imagine just by believing in yourself. You know, when JFK announced to the whole world that we were going to send a man to the moon, he didn't know how he was going to do it. The technology hadn't been developed yet. But he believed that it was possible, and he had the will to do it. Because when you have the will to do something, you are unstoppable. And he did it. I have developed a little bit more of a sense of urgency in my life since COVID hit. I've been trying to make the most of each day and give each day 100% of myself, because you never know. The next day is not guaranteed, and you never know how your life can change. Plus, I don't want to live a life where I feel like I'm just doing the least amount possible to get by. You know, I was talking with my son a while back, and he had to complete a book assignment, and he had to accumulate so many points per quarter, and I think it was 12. And he picked out a book and he said, it's worth 12 points. All I have to do is read this one book and that's it. And I said, yeah, but I think you're probably capable of reading more than this just one book. And he looked at me and agreed, you know, he could probably read that book in about 2 weeks. So even with him, I'm trying to teach him that we don't want to do just the minimum to get by. Because that becomes a part of who we are. It becomes a part of our character, our expression, and I don't want to be known, and I don't want him to be known for someone who just does the minimum, just enough to get by, because he's capable of so much more than that. Oh wow, look at this. So yeah, I have been trying to live with more of a sense of urgency in my life. And I don't know why it took so long for me really to come to the realization that each day is a blessing. And just because we're here today doesn't mean we're going to be here tomorrow. So, I mean, just imagine if you were lying there and you're on your deathbed. So you pass away. You come to the end of your life, and all your friends and family are gathered around you, looking down upon you. And there, above you, are the ghosts of your talents, the ghosts of your dreams, the ghosts of the things that were inside you that no one else had. And they're looking down upon you with angry eyes, saying, you could have used us, and you chose not to. And now, we must die with you. And nobody will benefit from your special gifts and talents. And they will die with you. I don't want to have the end of my life be like that. And so I think it's important to don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make a fool out of yourself. Don't be afraid to do something no one else does. Henry David Thoreau said, don't follow the path. Instead, go where there's no path and leave a trail for others to follow. And yeah, leave a trail for others to follow. Don't be afraid to go where there's no path. Don't be afraid of the unknown, because you never know the possibilities. Thinking about this trip, you know, I only had 3 days off, and I've been working so hard at school, coming in every Saturday, sometimes spending 8 or 9 hours there, planning and working ahead. And a few weeks ago, I had this idea. Hey, 3 days off, coming up Labor Day. Maybe I could go try to climb Handies Peak. And of course, I started to visualize myself going on that trip. And I started to visualize myself climbing this mountain and getting to the top of the mountain. And once I started visualizing it, that will to do it became so strong, I couldn't not do it. And so here I am, which it kind of seems silly, you know, only 3 days. I'm going to be in my car for at least, 26 hours on this trip? Which, that's a lot of time in the car just to do this. But how do I know when I'm going to get another opportunity to do this? You know, something could happen and my life might change. My family's life might change. And this might be my last chance. I don't know that. So, live each day as if it is a blessing. Take each day and give it your all. Do what you can. Go for it. Live your dreams. Don't let people stop you. The thing, though, that stops me the most, it's not other people. Other people, sure, they can be like, are you sure you want to do that? Oh, I don't think you should go by yourself. But in my case, my mind is what stops me a lot of times. Because our minds get on automatic, and I think they just tend to gravitate towards negative thoughts and doubts. And that critic inside you starts to say, oh, but what about this? Or how are you going to do that? And sometimes you have to tune out that critic. You have to forget about those thoughts and tell them just to be quiet and focus on what you want to focus on. Focus on what you want to have happen. Focus on the positive things. And that's hard sometimes, because I tell you, like I said, I think all of our thoughts, a lot of times, they gravitate towards the negative. Oh, why did this happen to me? Or, why do I have to deal with this? Well, why not? Why not you? Don't be afraid. Do those things that are inside you. Bring out those gifts that are inside you. Don't take them to the cemetery with you. Don't come to the end of your life with your gifts still wrapped up inside you. Rob the cemetery. Don't let those things go with you. Give your gifts. Unwrap your gifts and share them with the world, with the people around you. Because no one else has within them what you have within you. And that is yours. That makes you special. Yours to give. Don't be afraid to share it.